Hey there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. It's DMG, and welcome back to Blitz. And before I start commentating, I want to say Happy 4th of July if you celebrate, or if you are within the United States, right? And if you have served in the armed forces, or any branch of the military for that matter, I think that we should all say thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. And I think people, including myself sometimes, take for granted that the freedoms that we enjoy today are only possible because of the great sacrifices made by many heroic patriots before us. So enjoy your 4th of July. Hopefully you go see a fireworks show. I plan on going to see one later. But right now, we are going to be watching Shadowcat 501 in the M4 playing on Castilla. Now, today's replays are all American tanks for a kind of special occasion today, and I do think that these are all great games to watch. They all showcase great fundamentals, even some really good technique at some points, and we're going to see that from Shadowcat today by taking a good strong position early in the game in a gun depression medium. Now, as I said, I do have a few more things to go over, so I apologize, Shadowcat. Don't worry, there's more of you if you're watching. But the replays. Guys, I know I said this before in one video, but if you're going to send in a replay, send both the screenshots and the replay itself. So the post-game results for the personal and the team, and then the gameplay replay itself. I cannot take one or the other. I need to have both. Having one is not enough. Another important thing I want to discuss, or it may be important to some of you, those on the NA server, I have restarted the Straight Aim True clan. Now, if you want to check us out, that's great. We do have some requirements, but if you think you're good enough to hang and you want to participate in tournaments, please come check us out. We are actively recruiting right now, so it may be worth your time to at least try and send us a message if you are on the NA server. I hope that Straight turns into a wonderful thing that it once was and is a nice mix of competitive play and a good family atmosphere. Last but not least, I want to discuss the monetization on my channel. As I discussed in my last video, or pointed out, my channel did get approved for the YouTube Partner Program. So now I am receiving a small, I think it's like 4/100ths of a cent for every watch on a YouTube video, right? Because the ad plays. I mean, you can choose to skip it or not, but keep in mind that every time that the ad or that the video plays, I do get some kind of small, very, very, very minute, small kickback from it. But the more subscribers, the more views, just I guess the sheer volume of it all helps. I am trying to set up Super Chat and Patreon, but one thing at a time, right? The channel just got monetized last week, so I am just trying to take, or eat the elephant one bite at a time. YouTube is very, I wouldn't say new, but I guess the whole partner program and me learning how to navigate this whole system will take some time. So for those of you that have wanted or have asked me about donating to the channel, I really do appreciate it, and it will be coming soon should you choose to donate to the channel or think that the content is worthy enough. I hope to get Super Chat and then Patreon running up quite soon. Anyways, that was Shadowcat in the M4. Great stuff there to see him play a nice hull down roll in the M4. But now we will see him on Oasis Palms in the M4. I'm sorry I didn't really get to commentate too much on that one. And there was a little bit of extra fluff at the end of the replay, right? With the exiting out and everything. So the editing is still a little bit off. Anyways, this is Oasis Palms, and now I can really commentate on the replays now that all of the infomercial kind of stuff is out of the way. The M4. 160 alpha at tier 5 is nothing to scoff at. 10 degrees of gun depression is also very, very strong. And the tank does have a respectable armor profile and respectable mobility. It's nothing like a PZ-34 for a medium tank in terms of mobility, but you get oodles of gun depression and good alpha and respectable gun handling stats at that. Now, Shadow is going to make a great move right now, and he is reading the team perfectly. I'm not really sure if this is luck or skill or a bit of both, but this move is so perfect right here as he just goes right through the enemy spawn, spots the heavy tanks crossing. I guess he believes that if where there's one, there's more, and just keeps pushing right on through. This is such a great move as now Shadow will be behind the enemy. However, keep in mind that when people do this, a great move can turn into a bad move very quickly. Usually when you get behind the enemy, that's great, but if they all decide to turn their guns to you and you're isolated and alone, that could mean your demise in a very quick, swift fashion. Now we're going to see gun depression 101 here, and unfortunately there's not enough real estate for Shadowcat to use as he runs into the red line and is kind of stopped by the man-made boundaries of the map. Now, gun depression 101 right here against this T1 heavy. Great shot into the T1 heavy side. T1 wants a piece of Shadow right now as he will start to charge. Puts in another great shot into the M4 and is just abusing gun depression on this tank. It is so nice to see good, solid play, and the T1 Heavy gets a very lucky shot into the turret of the M4. Maybe not so much lucky in the sense that the M4 has a lot of armor on the turret, but the fact that it's such a small target and that it was moving, and the fact that there was at least some armor on the M4's mantlet, the fact that, you know, all those stars aligned and allowed the T1 Heavy to pen was quite miraculous. But usually I wouldn't say that happened. And as you go down the American medium line, the turrets, I would say, in general, get stronger. Now, great on-the-move dispersion values for the M4 allow Shadowcat to put in that shot against the KV-1. And now it's going to make a very interesting play on the DW2 and the Hetzer, going into a side scrape. The M4 not known for its superior side armor, but Shadowcat is making it work right now. That Hetzer wants to come around and unfortunately does. Oh, he misses actually, and Shadowcat will now put another shot into the Hetzer and put him on some low HP. Now that DW2 does manage to pen the M4, a great weapon on that tier 4 clubbing tank, but unfortunately it is no match for the M4 itself. Interesting little tidbit I do want to add that I'm not sure you guys are aware of is that Wargaming are saying, or it is rumored that Wargaming are making changes to low-tier tanks. And I'm not sure if you've watched any of Bushka's streams, but this has been hinted at there as well, that they will be removing low-tier tanks, or lots of low-tier tanks, for the purpose of retaining players, because they feel that grinding through so many low-tier tanks is just time-consuming and annoying, I guess. So they feel the need to, I guess, mitigate or reduce the amount of grind time that is being implemented, or I guess the amount of grind time that is being invested, that's the right word, into low tiers. So hopefully this will retain more players for the long term, as Wargaming did mention they have roughly a 20% mortality rate for new players. I'm not really sure if that's due to grinding low-tier tanks as much as it is just in general interest. You know, you'll play a few games against the bots, you know, and then you'll play a few more games and then say, hey, maybe this game is not for me. I'm not really sure if the reason for that 20% mortality rate is because of low-tier tanks. But if Wargaming wants to remove some vehicles and just keep more players coming into the game, good on them. However, don't remove my T2 medium Wargaming, the American tier 2 light tank, or medium. I love that tank. Do not remove that tank. If any Wargaming employee ever watches this video before the update is dropped, do not remove my T2 medium, please. That's the only clubbing tank that I will get to enjoy. So, anyways, I mean, that being said, I don't club really all that often. Although I would even say some people make jokes that even Tier 9 and Tier 10 are clubbing. Anyways, Shadowcat playing on Rockfield. Great shots into the M4, or not the M4, the Covenanter and the KV-1 and the AMX duck at the beginning. Now, I'm sure as you saw previously, or if you want to rewind, the... Oh, and another shot right there with the M4's gun. Now, the M4's gun is not fantastic, but it works well enough, and that's what's important there, as two great shots are put in on that tank to put it down to a one shot, and another great shot into the DW2 to take that down as well. Shadowcat right now just Xing off targets with 160 alpha, which really does hurt lower tier tanks, especially when lower tier tanks have roughly what? 450 HP to 500 HP. It's not that healthy for them to be taking 160 alpha shells to their face, really. You know, you're removing over 20% HP at a fire rate of a 7.6 second reload. And it, coupled with gun depression, just being able to have the ease of getting those shots off, the M4 really is a fantastic tank. I'd recommend a lot of people, or I'd recommend to anyone, to pick this tank up. It is definitely a keeper. And the American mediums in general really exemplify that jack of all trades. And while they aren't uber fast or uber accurate or have uber penetration or uber armor even, I keep saying uber, but they're just jack of all trades, and you know that's what makes them good medium tanks, is it allows them to role play lots of different roles on the battlefield at any time. Now Shadowcat doing a great job. Just there's no reason to push right now. It is a 4-3 game. Make the other team, or let the other team make the first mistake. And Shadowcat is doing a great job of just conserving hit points right now. There is no reason to bleed unnecessarily. He does take a shot there from the left. I don't really know where that's from. I do think that that is the duck that has been unspotted for quite some time. That Crusader does not have the alpha to trade with the M4 right now. Going 1 for 1, 90 for 160. Shadowcat has almost 200% of the alpha that the Crusader does. So it is not in the Crusader's best interest to have that kind of engagement. It would rather work better in a DPM war. That Covenanter with a dangerous Bofors cannon, very ineffective at long range, but as it gets closer, it becomes more of a threat, and Shadowcat does realize that and takes him out of the game. This A20 not looking so hot right now, and a bit of hit point distress, but luckily Shadowcat is there to save the day, using 12 degrees of gun depression on this DW2, and gets an amazing engine fire on this DW2 as he goes down the slope back into the little valley area. Now, Shadowcat, not necessarily the best move right here. I'd maybe try to work some more gun depression angles, but goes right in, gets the bounce. Unfortunately, misses the target on the DW2, but luckily reloads faster than the Tier 4 German heavy tank and takes him out of the game. Last but not least, we have the AMX-40, that Tier 4 French light tank, which is more like a heavy tank tier for tier. But right now, the duck hunt begins. And he sees him right off, misses that first shot, gets set on fire, luckily has a repair kit ready, and puts right one through the front of the duck for the victory. Great stuff there. And I would call that the appetizer for today's video. I know today's video is quite a long video, but I hope you guys do enjoy it, as I did want to showcase various American tanks. Now, this is the meat of the video. This is the Jackson, the Black Samurai, playing in the Tier 6 American turreted tank destroyer, the Jackson. I think I said that 3 times already. Anyways, the Jackson recently got buffed, and while I still prefer the Hellcat, it does have more DPM than the Hellcat, and with a 225 alpha gun, the Jackson can seriously put out some hurt on the enemies if anything is dumb enough to stay in front of its gun. And also, the Jackson does have a little bit of armor to bounce lower tier tanks like that T-25. Overall, the tank definitely needed this buff, and it does work a lot better now. I still prefer the Hellcat for its lightning quick mobility and camouflage, but the Jackson is nothing to scoff at. And in the position of this T-25, the Jackson is quite the menacing thing to deal with. More alpha, more DPM allow the Jackson to just absolutely bully tanks that are lower tier than it. One interesting thing about this line that I do think that you should know and understand is that all the tanks have slow turret traverse. So while you do have a turret, it is always, I wouldn't say, it is not always in your best interest to go brawling in this tank, because the fast tanks running around at tier 6 and 7 may be able to out-traverse your turret. However, even if you do traverse your hull, it does give you that extra traverse that you may need to stop a circle, but nothing is guaranteed when you're playing against Dracula's LTTBs, or even at this tier, or tier below, like the tier 5 Leopard. Am I right? Now, we're going to see great killing, or the ability to recognize that taking out one-shot tanks is very important. We're not going to see the best marksmanship as we've seen so far. I mean, I think this replay would have gone a lot better personally should or had the Black Samurai, or I'll just call him Samurai hit more shots with his gun. Doing early damage and consistent damage, I would say, is important in today's game, instead of trying to chance with derp guns. And even when you have a more accurate weapon like this, you cannot really afford to miss. Luckily, it looks like Samurai has gotten his stuff together and is now putting an accurate fire on all the tanks in front of him. Takes out one and now moves on to the rest. Now, good thing about the Jackson, 10 degrees of gun depression. Most American tanks have this 10 degrees of gun depression trait, and the Jackson is no exception. Now, one of the most important things about using gun depression is that it just maximizes your armor profile. And now that the Jackson does have an armor profile to work with and the DPM to boot, you can really use gun depression to your advantage. Even on that Jagdpanzer IV, just being able to get the gun down even though he wasn't hull down allows Samurai to take out the Jagdpanzer quite easily. Now, the gun isn't fantastic all the time. Shots on that KV-2 are not on. It looks like he hits that KV-2 if I had to guess on that blind shot, so great stuff there. Way to recognize that he was still tracked and that you should totally go for it. Another great round through the KV-1S, that dangerous tier 6 Soviet heavy that has the ability to remove half the health of anything it sees, going at about 45 kilometers an hour. Another lovely shot into the cupola of the KV-1S takes one of them out of the game, but there is still one monster to deal with. And then that Kuro is also coming to have a piece of Samurai as well. Now, we are into the KV-1S, and long 122 reload Soviet weapons really lose out against the Jackson in scenarios like this. It allows Samurai to put in 2 shots into the KV-1S on the reload, hit a kill shot on the Kuro, and now hit a kill shot on the KV-1S as he pulls around the corner in order to kill Samurai in that engagement. But the reload of the Jackson, and this is where that buff DPM really comes in handy. There's no way the pre-buff Jackson would have been able to deal with that situation effectively. But now, with the increase in its rate of fire, it definitely can compete on a tier 6 battlefield respectably. He has to be very careful right now. It's mano-y-mano. If you haven't noticed, Samurai is on 6 kills. If he gets this last one, he achieves the Rosinia Heroes medal. That one of those medals that is just extremely hard to get, and that I have been lucky enough to achieve a few times in my Blitz career. Now, he needs, like I said, needs to be very careful. The KV-2, 152mm gun, high explosive. Samurai is under 400 hit points. The KV-2 doesn't even really need to aim that much. He just needs to splash anywhere but the gun mantle, and he will take the Jackson out of the game, most likely, even though the Jackson has a decent armor profile. he proxy spots the KV-2, but the KV-2, by definition, proxy spots him, and it is not a good idea to go poking around that corner. He thinks about it, changes his decision to something that I was thinking that would have been the best decision that he could have made, goes for it, sees the track of the KV-2, puts it around through, and takes out the KV-2, that Tier 6 derpy Russian heavy tank, being the bane of the tier. Great stuff there, Samurai. Happy to commentate on your replay, and hope you send in more that are just as fantastic. Now, on to our dessert course. This is Adrian DeGod playing in the M46 Patton. Adrian is from the Asia server, but that is not stopping him from driving an American tank. This fantastic Tier 9 medium with nuts out DPM, great on-the-move dispersion values, another one with 10 degrees of gun depression, and enough armor to troll. Not enough to rely on, but enough to troll. And that T-54E1 is about to feel the first full force DPM unload of this Tier 9 American medium tank. 350 alpha allows you to poke well on other mediums and trade effectively even. Now, if you're firing every, like 6 seconds, right, the T-54 would be the better choice. But when you don't have the opportunity to do that, the M46 Patton is noticeably the better choice. And that Centurion 7-1 is out of options, and Adrian takes him right out of the game. Great stuff there without losing too much HP. So right now, we're up. Adrian's just going to keep rolling up and annihilating the enemy. A nice flutter aim on the Yag Tiger right there with an APCR round through the small little side that was visible on that Tier 9 German tank destroyer. Now, he's going to start putting in shots, or at least try to start putting in shots on people in the town. He needs to keep his angles correct because the M46 Patton is not known for having a lot of armor. Tries to chance an HE round right here, and you do see a little bit of lag. The grill just seemingly teleports. I'm not sure where those hacks came from. I'm joking, of course. But he now tries to go for the Object 263, that Tier 10 Soviet tank destroyer with nutty DPM, even more so than this Tier 9 American tank. In your Tier 9 American medium. Goodness, right? Anyways, 10 degrees of gun depression allow Adrian to work this ridge like a boss. And he hits another HE round, not a full roll, on the grill. Or, it is a full roll on the grill, and does a very nice job of using that on-the-move dispersion to his advantage to put in shots and continue minimizing his exposure time. Now, you see another little bit of lag here. His tank seemingly starts to float, but he gets right back into it and puts a shot into the Yag Tiger, and now it wants to go into the Waffle Tractor. Now, the Waffle will want to have a go at him in a few seconds. He pops around the corner, makes a great use of cover there with that rock, and the Waffle does hit the ground, or hit the rock in that case, and misses Adrian, allowing him to take out the Yag Tiger. The Waffle Tractor wants to have a second swing at Adrian, comes around the corner. Adrian gets back into cover, looks for HE, hits another shot with HE on the Waffle Tractor. Great stuff there, and is now into the Waffle Tractor with his full attention. This is a slight mistake here. Tries to go for HE on the grill. There's no reason to do that because he's a one roll with AP or even APCR. No reason really to do that. Fixes his mistake. He's lucky that the grill has bounced his shot right there. Probably should not have happened. If there was one mistake in this replay, that was it right there. Anyways, into the Waffle Tractor. Comes around the corner and will be putting in a shot soon enough. This nutty medium tank can just spit out damage in a ridiculous fashion, and that is no exception here as he comes around, puts in a shot. Unfortunately, his teammate gets to it first, just slightly, and then now he will deal with Stalin's Sandal, the Object 263. Now, he needs to be very careful, but it looks like his team is going to come help him out, and they will finish off the Object 263 with ease. If you like that content, please hit that like button and subscribe for more, and if you didn't, please leave your constructive criticism in the comment section. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to share my passion with you today, and I hope to see you next time.